It started like any ordinary morning in the quiet Ohio town. Birds chirped outside the windows of the Carter home, and the smell of fresh coffee drifted from the kitchen. Lisa Carter, a devoted mother of two, had just finished packing lunch for her children and was preparing to drop them off at school. But when her children returned from brushing their teeth and getting ready for the bus, she was gone. The front door was locked from the inside. The lights were still on in the living room, and her car sat untouched in the driveway. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Panic gripped the children, and the neighbors were called, but no one had seen or heard anything unusual. Detectives arrived within hours, combing through every inch of the house. They found nothing out of place except for her purse, neatly placed on the counter, and her favorite necklace, which had disappeared mysteriously. There was no sign of forced entry, no struggle, no ransom note. Nothing to indicate why Lisa would leave or who might have taken her. Her children were too young to understand what had happened, and the investigators struggled to piece together even the smallest clue. The police questioned neighbors, family, and co-workers, but every lead turned cold. Even the dogs in the neighborhood hadn't barked that morning, as if the house had been swallowed by an unnatural silence. Whispers began to ripple through the town. Some claimed they saw a stranger lurking near the Carter home the day before her disappearance. Others suggested Lisa might have left voluntarily, though no one could fathom why she would vanish without her children. Local reporters flocked to the scene, hoping to catch a glimpse of some new clue, but the case remained maddeningly quiet. As the sun set over the small town, the mystery of Lisa Carter's disappearance deepened, casting a shadow over the community. The questions piled up, but the answers seemed forever out of reach. In the weeks and months after Lisa's disappearance, detectives scoured her life for any shred of evidence, but every lead seemed to dissolve into nothing. Friends were questioned repeatedly, each offering fragments of memory, a strange phone call she had received late one night, a hurried conversation with a neighbor that ended abruptly, or a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure near her home. Her colleagues mentioned that Lisa had been unusually quiet in the days before she vanished, as if a silent fear had taken root. Yet none of these fragments connected in any meaningful way, leaving the investigators frustrated and grasping at shadows. Every personal item in the house was examined for clues. Her diary was carefully inspected, her laptop scrutinized for messages, and even the trash was gone through for discarded evidence. Investigators found one particularly unsettling detail. Several of Lisa's phone calls in the weeks prior to her disappearance had been to numbers that could not be traced. The calls were brief, often just a few seconds, but they left a lingering sense of urgency. The police traced one number to a burner phone, but by the time they tracked it, the line had been deactivated. The more they dug, the more it felt like Lisa's life had been quietly monitored, and that someone had known she was about to be found out. As the investigation deepened, suspicion spread like wildfire through the small community. Some neighbors began to recount strange occurrences they hadn't mentioned before, glimpses of a black car parked outside at odd hours, figures moving in the woods behind her house, even the occasional scream in the distance at night that nobody dared investigate. Everything hinted at a threat lurking closer than anyone had imagined, but the threads were too thin to follow. Each day without answers tightened the knot of fear around Lisa's family and the town itself, and the sense of something sinister waiting just out of sight grew heavier with every unanswered question. Years slipped by, and the town slowly tried to move on from the shadow of Lisa Carter's disappearance. Her children grew up in the echo of unanswered questions, learning to navigate life with an emptiness that never truly healed. School days, birthday parties, and family gatherings all carried a quiet, lingering sorrow. The house, once full of laughter and warmth, remained a haunting reminder of what had been lost. Locals still whispered about that fateful morning. Trading half-remembered sightings and rumors, but no one could provide any concrete answers. The investigation had gone cold, and with each passing year, hope seemed to dwindle further. Despite the passage of time, Lisa's absence was felt in every corner of the community. Former neighbors would glance toward her old home, half expecting to see her walking back through the front door. Some claimed to have spotted her in town over the years. A fleeting figure in a grocery store, a shadow crossing the street, but none of these accounts were ever verified. The police files grew dusty, marked with unsolved in bold letters, yet the detectives who had worked the case quietly carried its weight for years. Even though life around them continued, the unsettling thought remained. Lisa Carter's disappearance had not been random, and the reason she vanished was still buried somewhere, just out of reach. Meanwhile, the world outside continued with its normal rhythm, unaware of the chilling story lurking in that small Ohio town. Holidays came and went. Anniversaries of Lisa's disappearance were quietly noted, and her children, now older, found themselves haunted by the gap she left behind. The fear that had gripped the town in 1993 transformed into a quiet, persistent unease, as if the very air around her old neighborhood remembered her absence. Shadows that once seemed ordinary now felt ominous, and even the familiar streets seemed to carry whispers of a mystery that had refused to fade. Though 11 years had passed, the town and Lisa's family were still prisoners of the questions no one could answer. It had been 11 years since Lisa Carter vanished, and the town had almost settled into a fragile routine of forgetting, or pretending to forget. That spring morning, workers arrived at the old, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, tasked with clearing overgrown land and preparing it for demolition. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and rusted metal. As the men dug and cleared debris, one of them struck something unusual beneath the soil. At first, it seemed like a simple piece of discarded scrap, but the more they unearthed it, the stranger it became. Buried beneath layers of dirt and roots was a small, rusted metal box, locked shut by time and neglect. Curiosity quickly turned to shock as the workers pried open the box. Inside were several of Lisa Carter's personal belongings, perfectly preserved despite the years underground. Her favorite necklace glinted in the sunlight, and her diary lay folded neatly, its pages yellowed but intact. The photograph of a man no one recognized was the most unsettling of all. It felt almost out of place, a silent accusation frozen in time. The diary revealed entries filled with fear and unease, accounts of strange shadows near her home, cryptic mentions of phone calls, and notes about feeling watched. The final entry, dated the day before she vanished, ended abruptly, as if she had been interrupted mid-sentence, leaving behind a chilling void. Word of the discovery spread quickly, sending waves of anticipation and unease through the town. Former neighbors, friends, and family members flocked to the site, each hoping for answers yet fearing what they might uncover. The investigators returned, eyes scanning the dirt and debris for anything else that could explain Lisa's disappearance. Every item pulled from the box seemed to deepen the mystery rather than solve it, suggesting that her vanishing was no random tragedy. The photograph, in particular, became a central focus, raising more questions than it answered. Who was the man in the picture? Why was she keeping it with her belongings? And most importantly, did discovering these items finally bring the town closer to the truth? Or had it only unearthed a darker layer of secrets that had been buried for more than a decade? The photograph of the unknown man became the key that reopened old wounds and sparked a frantic new investigation. Detectives worked tirelessly, tracing the man's movements over the past decade, uncovering that he had quietly moved abroad soon after Lisa's disappearance. Questions multiplied faster than answers. What was his connection to Lisa? Had he been involved in her vanishing, or was he a witness to something far darker? The diary's entries suggested she had stumbled upon something dangerous, something that threatened to expose a network of secrets lurking quietly in the town. Each revelation added a layer of dread, making it clear that Lisa's disappearance had not been a random event, but a deliberate act designed to silence her. As investigators dug deeper, a chilling picture began to emerge. Lisa had discovered evidence of a criminal operation involving several prominent figures in the community. Her notes described hushed meetings, coded messages, and a pervasive feeling that someone was always watching. It became increasingly apparent that she had intended to go to the authorities to blow the lid off the dangerous secrets she had uncovered. And then, almost inevitably, she vanished, taken before she could act, her presence erased from the world around her. The town, once comfortable in its routines, was now confronted with a stark reality. Darkness had been hiding in plain sight, and Lisa had been one of the few brave enough to notice. The discovery of her belongings reignited fear and curiosity across the community. Locals whispered about what might have happened in those 11 years, speculating about who knew the truth and who might still be in danger. The diary and photograph became evidence not just of her disappearance, but of her courage and the hidden threat that had stalked her. It was a haunting reminder that sometimes the most ordinary neighborhoods hold the darkest secrets, and that someone's bravery to uncover the truth can come at a terrifying cost. Every page, every artifact from the box pointed to a reality far more sinister than anyone had imagined. Leaving the town, and anyone who heard the story with more questions than answers. As the investigation continued, the town finally understood the terrifying truth. Lisa Carter's disappearance had been no accident. She had uncovered a dark secret that someone powerful wanted buried forever, and for 11 long years, the mystery had been hidden beneath layers of silence and fear. While her belongings provided clues, they also served as a chilling reminder that some truths are more dangerous than we can imagine. Though Lisa's fate may never be fully known, her courage lives on in the diary, the photograph, and the story that refuses to be forgotten. The town would never look at quiet streets, abandoned warehouses, or missing neighbors in the same way again. And somewhere, in the shadows of that small Ohio town, the echoes of a secret that should have stayed hidden still linger, waiting, watching, and reminding everyone that sometimes the most ordinary lives are entwined with the darkest mysteries. The question that remains is simple yet haunting. What would you do if you discovered a secret so dangerous that it could cost you everything?
If you liked this video, Don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Most importantly, subscribe and hit the bell icon so the next secret finds you first.